Been a roller coaster ride for the markets lately, but regional theme park names just seem to keep going higher. Take a look at this. Shares of SeaWorld and Cedar Fair up more than 160% from their March lows. Six Flags up 175%. And my next guest says there's more room to run. He just upgraded Cedar Fair and Six Flags to buy. For more, let's welcome in Eric Wold, Senior Media, Entertainment, and Outdoor Leisure Analyst for B. Riley FBR. Eric, some would say you're just catching up to the stock performance here.
Well, we definitely missed the stocks from the very bottom, but we wanted to get a better sense of when the economies locally and statewide would start to reopen, and more importantly, that the theme parks could open efficiently under the new regulations and do so in a manner that wasn't entirely detrimental to both the experience and what consumers are looking for at the parks.
And we've highlighted their gains off the lows, but obviously these stocks got absolutely clobbered. Where are we in terms of their current valuation, and what do your price targets imply?
So we're still below where they were at their peak. Obviously, we're well below where they should be in terms of attendance. This year is pretty much a lost year, given that most parks are just starting to reopen right now. But as you look towards 21 and 22, we think there's a very good chance these parks can get back more towards normalized attendance levels. Consumers are looking for outdoor activities, vacations closer to home. The theme parks play well into that. 80 to 90% plus of their attendance comes within a few hour drive of the parks. You can avoid hopping on a plane and staying in a hotel. And they've done a great job, improving the benefits under their season pass and attendance and their membership programs to give people a reason to come back to the park now and build loyalty going forward. So we think as attendance gets back towards normalized levels next year and in 22, I think these stocks get back to levels at least we're at before, if not higher, given our view that these parks can be run more efficiently coming out of this than they were going into the pandemic.
Which ones do you think people will be first and most likely to go back to?
I think Cedar Fair probably has an advantage in that they're a little more locally based, not dependent on some of the major states and a lot more or less of the tourist market than some of the other two. California is a market that we still have a lot of visibility to when that will reopen. Cedar Fair has one park there, but really is not dependent upon it. And so I think you're looking for a company that has a lot more locally based attendance. Cedar Fair is probably one of the three that's better positioned.
And what happens if there's a case where in Disney or Universal, one of the very high profile theme parks, there's a cluster of COVID cases? I mean, I have to imagine that's going to remain a big risk for all of these parks for quite some time.
Yeah, we're definitely watching out for the risk of a second wave and something else coming up. I think the regional theme parks have somewhat of an advantage there in that they're mostly seasonal. Most of these companies have very few parks that are open year round, only a handful. And so if we get into the fall or winter when these parks are usually closed and there's a second wave, you really wouldn't miss out on much. Maybe some of the out of season events such as a Winterfest or a Halloween Haunt, but you're on a limited schedule or completely closed. I think they have a chance to hunker down then and kind of wait till the 2021 season opens up next spring. So I think a second wave impact would be significantly less severe than a first wave impact.
And finally, what do you think is priced in terms of vaccine? I mean, is that just a binary, good vaccine comes out and, everything's off to the races? Or do you think investors are already pricing in that likelihood somewhere down the road?
I think somewhere down the road. I think right now, the parks have taken it very carefully. Obviously, you're limiting attendance initially to 25%. That probably gets raised to 50%, moves higher. They're being careful with cleaning procedures. Every other row on a roller coaster is empty. So they're taking their steps. I think if there is a vaccine or something comes quicker and they can kind of loosen those restrictions, obviously it's more beneficial to the parks. But I don't think it's being priced right now. I think people are taking a very cautious approach at these levels.